So hello to this character concept of Zed from League of Legends. I've decided to create this also in, I guess, timed with the release of Legends of Runeterra card game, a card game based on the League of Legends characters. So now we head on to what we're going to be looking at. First things first will be how we look at this, and then we'll look at who or what Zed is, what he can do, and also what allows him to do these things. And finally, we'll look at a sample build. So just in this build, or in this presentation, we'll just look at what he can do and what the equivalent would be in D&D terms. And also a disclaimer, obviously the characters I'm talking about here are not owned by me. They're owned by their respective creators and, original sources. Another thing I'd like to say is that this build is not min-maxed, okay? It's more concept or trying to mimic the character as best as I can. So, who and what is Zed? Well, first things first, his race. He's actually just a human. So you have a choice here. So we have a choice between human or a variant human. As for his background, I just went with criminal, since pretty much killed a lot of people, a lot of races. Another thing I consider was maybe a leader, folk hero to some, but I guess the general image would portray him as a criminal. So as for an alignment, I went with lawful evil. He's pretty much doing what he does in order to protect Ionia, as his country, obviously at the cost of some of its inhabitants, and that's generally seen as lawful evil. What can he do? Well, if we look at spells quickly, he can blink. We can see this as blink. Okay, we're just looking at spells here. And what can be seen as Death Mark in D&D could be Hunter's Mark. As for class features, well, he's got the Shadow Step ability from the Monk of Shadow at level 6. And there's also the Fighter Echo, a newly released subclass. And there, with those features of the Echo Knight, they fit really well with Zed. This one thing is Manifest Echo. You can create a clone and allow the clone to attack for him. As for skills, well, pretty much simple. Acrobatics, athletics, and stealth are the core skills he will be proficient in. I thought of intimidation, but it's not. I don't think he's pretty must be good, but I wouldn't say he's proficient or the best at it. As for weapon proficiencies, well, he's always shown with his wrist-mounted blades. There's no equivalent in D&D, but what you could do is just dual-wield short swords, and or use wrist-mounted blades if you after you've asked the DM, and just use the statistics of Short Blade. Another thing he's proficient in is throwing weapons, and yeah, I don't know if you'll find Shuriken in D&D or in your campaign setting, but you can replace it with throwing knives. Allows him to do those things we just talked about. Well, the classes that we can look at here are Monk, Fighter, and Ranger. Monk for his hand-to-hand abilities. The Shadow Step we mentioned. The Fighter, especially the Echo Knight one, is able to produce the clones we need. And the Ranger I just mentioned this because of the spells Blink and Hunter's Mark. So next point, feats. You could say he could have Defensive Duelist and Dual Wielder. So what else? Ability scores. I would, from my point of view, say Dex would be his highest, followed by Constitution, just to be safe, and also according to lore, he's pretty tough, and then Strength. Lowest, I would say, is Intelligence. He could have made different choices or smarter choices and kept his relationship with Shen. So, items and equipment. Well, as we've seen before, bladed weapons is what he should always have. Throwing weapons, and something special that allows him to perform all those shadow techniques is something called the Tears of Shadow, which he stole from the temple he used to be with. So I would probably say it's an artifact item that you'd have to talk with the DM if you want to include it in your game. So now we go to a sample build. As I said, it's not optimized, so please remember that. So I guess for this build, it should be online at level 9. And these are stats I would suggest you start with. The 15, 14, 13 there. In the beginning between Dex, Con, and Strength. And then Intelligence would be the lowest. After that, you can go with Race, Variant, +1 to Dex and +1 to Con. Ideally it would be Strength, but as I said, we're not min-maxing. And for your skill, you can, for your feat, you could think about Duelist and Dual Wielder. And so for alignment, alignment Evil. Background will be Criminal. The class I would suggest here is level 3 Echo Knight and Way of Shadow level 6. So, and try to specialize or be proficient in skills of acrobatics, athletics, and stealth. Since we're not taking a class that can cast any spells, I left this empty. And as for the feat, well, Dual Wielder. And there you go. Give it a try. Really hope this helped you a bit, and yeah, hope you enjoy your games and have fun. See ya.